In the summer of 2008, construction workers renovating Langberg Castle in the Austrian Alps broke through a 500-year-old wall. Inside, they discovered a sealed vault packed with debris, leather shoes, and ancient coins. Among the fragments were 4 pieces of linen featuring distinct, separately cut cups sewn together vertically. To the archaeologists, they were immediately recognizable. They looked almost exactly like a modern long-line bra. Before this find, historians generally assumed women's support moved directly from the unsupported tunics of antiquity into centuries of rigid corsetry. This 15th-century artifact proved that structured support had been engineered hundreds of years earlier than anyone thought. This 4,000-year timeline tracks the evolution of power and engineering, illustrating how social mandates have dictated the exact shape of the female body. To find the earliest recorded structured support, we have to look back to the Mediterranean island of Crete around 1600 BCE, at the height of the Minoan civilization. This 3,500-year-old snake goddess figurine wears a tight-fitting bodice engineered to deliberately lift and frame the breasts while leaving them fully exposed. In Minoan society, this was standard outerwear. Wall paintings suggest that the tighter the bodice and more prominent the display, the higher the woman's social rank. Breasts were treated as public symbols of fertility and divine power. This era prioritized visibility over concealment, a philosophy that Western fashion would spend the next 3 millennia aggressively reversing. By the time of ancient Greece, the goal shifted toward management. Women began wearing the strophium, a band of wool or linen wrapped across the chest to flatten and contain the body for the sake of modesty. This Roman mosaic from a 4th-century estate in Sicily shows elite female athletes wearing bands called strophium while competing. These bands show specific stitching and structural details, suggesting they were cut and sewn to a specific fit to provide support during intense movement. Similar needs for compression appeared elsewhere. For centuries in China, the diamond-shaped dudo was used to achieve a fashionable, flattened silhouette by compressing the chest. From Roman athletic gear to Sanskrit texts describing breastcloths used as dramatic props, independent cultures developed ways to manage the body's movement. The difference lay in the goal, whether the garment was meant to support, suppress, or perform. In the mid-1500s, Catherine de' Medici popularized the corset in the French court, ushering in a 400-year reign of rigidity. The objective was a perfectly straight, elongated torso that eliminated any natural curve at the waist. To achieve the fashionable 13-inch waist, women laced into bodices reinforced with whalebone and steel. This pressure pushed the floating ribs inward and physically displaced internal organs to create the required silhouette. The corset also carried a heavy moral weight. Rigid stays were equated with rigid character, leading to the Victorian-era belief that loose stays were a sign of loose morals. For 4 centuries, the female body was treated as a raw material that required a mechanical mold to be considered socially acceptable. By the late 19th century, the health risks of extreme lacing became a medical scandal. Doctors documented fractured ribs and corset liver, fueling a dress reform movement that called for the garment's total abolition. In 1889, a Parisian seamstress named Hermine Cadal cut the corset in half. She left the waist free and supported the breasts with straps and cups, an invention she called le bien-être, the well-being. Years later, American socialite Mary Phelps Jacob achieved a breakthrough by sewing together 2 silk handkerchiefs and a pink ribbon. Her design created a lightweight, backless garment that replaced the box-like armor of traditional corsetry. These innovations prioritized physical emancipation, offering a practical alternative to the mechanical restrictions that had dominated fashion for centuries. The final death blow to the corset came during World War I, when the U.S. government asked women to stop buying them. This redirected 28,000 tons of steel from civilian wardrobes to the construction of battleships. As women entered factories and manual labor roles in massive numbers, the rigid whalebone cage became physically impossible to wear for a full workday. In the 1920s, the ideal silhouette shifted again. The flattener bra was designed to minimize the bust, achieving the boyish, androgynous look that defined the decade. Realizing that one-size-fits-all compression was a failure, Ida Rosenthal, as Maidenform, introduced standardized cup sizes. This moved the industry toward garments designed to accommodate individual biological diversity. This engineering shift allowed the bra to transition from a tool of universal compression to a garment tailored to the reality of the individual wearer. In 1968, the bra itself became a political symbol. During the Miss America protest in Atlantic City, activists threw bras and girdles into a freedom trash can, viewing them as a new set of tools for social expectation. From the Minoan snake goddess to the Victorian corset, every era believed its specific mold was the correct one, and every era was eventually replaced by the next. This architectural shift reflects a move toward autonomy, the transition from bodies defined by social expectation to women reclaiming the right to define their own silhouettes.